21st Street Crossing is one of my many favorite places around Chicago. It is a place that I've returned to many times over the years. This is a slideshow of images taken over those years. Always my favorite bridge, the South Branch Bridge, or Canal Street Bridge, or Pennsylvania Bridge 458, or as I always called it, the 21st Street Bridge, is a vertical lift bridge opened in 1914. There's a lot of info on the internet, how and why it was built, what it's made of, and probably even how the rivets taste. The crossing, also known as Alton Junction, was once one of the busiest places in the Midwest. It featured 26 diamonds and 150 trains a day. Most trains departing Union Station and Dearborn Street Station had to pass through. There are lots of pictures on the internet of this place in its heyday. I even started the process of getting permission to use a few in this slideshow. Then I realized that showing what it did look like compared to the way it looked when I started showing up with a camera in 1977, my images would just look sad and pathetic. My first time there with a camera was on February 7th, 1977, to catch the outbound Amtrak Floridian using a new connecting track to get it on the Chicago and Western Indiana main. I'm back on April 4th, 1977, a few days before my 15th birthday. Notice that the Chicago and Western Indiana tracks are still in. We catch a Burlington Northern transfer. I was firing off some shots with black and white film. Probably wouldn't have got some shots like this of old rolling stock if I'd only been shooting more expensive color. Both of these Precision National leased Jeeps working the ex-Santa Fe coach yard would shortly be purchased by and painted Amtrak. This ICG piggyback train with a nice Gulfmobile and Ohio GP30 and trail was the last train we caught. I captured a shot of this neat Seaboard Razorback service trailer as well. While hiking out, caught these three ex-GM&O F3s that were regular power on the Markham to Glen Yard transfer at the time. A month later, on May 11th, we find the usual suspects on the ICG and catch some action in the ex-Santa Fe coach yard. Amtrak's fleet of ex-Pennsy RS3s would soon all be retired the following year, and the SDP-40F would start to disappear soon. The equipment on the next three trains was also soon to be replaced. The ICG train to Joliet, called the Plug, featured an F3 for power. The Norfolk and Western train to Orland Park had just moved to Union Station from the Dearborn Street Station Annex. It was the last train to use the Chicago and Western Indiana tracks. Conrail ran two trains to Valparaiso, Indiana. This was the shorter second train. On June 12, 1977, the ICG transfer, now with an F3 and a Paducah Jeep, passed an Amtrak RS3 working the yard. I'm there on a cold November 25, 1977, to catch the inbound Conrail and Norfolk and Western trains arriving. In the early 80s, I was attending university nearby and would frequently park here to study. Must have been caught by surprise for this F40PH shot in 1982 as I've left the car door open. Here's a good view from 1983 that show the Chicago and Western Indiana diamonds removed but the track still in. After the ICG train passes, an Amtrak cut with F40PHs on the south end and a Conrail SW1 on the north end clear the crossing for a signal to return. Jumping to 1987, this shot of an ICG power move shows how stark the junction and former Santa Fe coach yard have become. April 12, 1988 finds a Conrail local job and a Chicago Central freight passing through. Chicago Central and Pacific took over the ICG line west into Iowa in 1985. It was retaken over by the Illinois Central in 1996. September 12, 1988, the jointly operated Amtrak and Via Rail International departs for Toronto. At the time, Amtrak and Via Rail equipment would alternate days. These LRC coaches were the first built and leased to Amtrak in 1980, but sold to Via in 1982. The junction sees a lot of Amtrak yard moves like this one. They just have to come far enough south to clear the signals and switches before shoving back in. My best guess here is we are looking at a hospital train of Amtrak equipment that was involved in some mishap on the Santa Fe. The F40PH appears to have suffered some front-end damage. July 4th, 1989, we see one of the Michigan trains, followed by one of the overnight East Coast trains. So now let's pause for some more cheesy animation to describe how Amtrak trains that come and go on the Illinois Central get to Union Station. There is no direct route, forcing the trains to make a backup move. There are two routes that can be used. The first is over the St. Charles Airline that meets the Burlington at Union Avenue and then back in from there, or vice versa. The second is via 21st Street and then over the IC to the lakefront. The routing choice varied depending on traffic. The latter is precisely what the City of New Orleans is doing here, backing down from Union Station and then taking the connection to the IC. January 8th, 1990, changes are happening. An Illinois Central light power move, and then the Amtrak and Rutledge takes a right to St. Louis past construction of the new CTAL line to Midway Airport. The American Orient Express, a luxury train in its infancy, operated on the rear of Amtrak's Capital Limited. A 1940s vintage SW1 pokes out with a switch move. The inbound City of New Orleans takes the connection off the IC and backs in over the bridge. In this view from January 24th, 1990, the City of New Orleans is waiting for the Capital Limited to clear before making its move. Jumping 30 years, here is the same view of the City of New Orleans on July 14th, 2019. Back in the past, a Conrail freight on February 8th, 1991, then a broadside view of the bridge on the same day. Jumping into the future again, the same view on May 13th, 2019. On a dreary winter day in January 1993, we see a Conrail light power move followed by an Illinois Central freight. For a bit of a different perspective, February 27, 1993, we are aboard the City of New Orleans on the 21st Street route as it approaches and takes the connection off the IC at the junction. April 10, 2002, a Metra commuter train to Orland Park, and then one of the Amtrak Michigan trains. June 20th saw a visit from a steam locomotive. Milwaukee Road 261 is arriving from the Twin Cities off the BNSF. She has taken the right at 16th Street and will back into Union Station after clearing the Y. Now we've entered modern times. It's June 13th, 2018, and the Amtrak Wolverine is heading for Detroit, followed by some Norfolk Southern Power and the Pierre Marquette to Grand Rapids. Later, the Capital Limited to Washington, D.C. We end on August 26, 2021, with a Norfolk Southern freight, a Metra train to Manhattan, Illinois via Orland Park, and a view of the CTAL on the line to Midway Airport. Thanks a lot for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please check out the other videos on my channel.